There is a tool company that's shown up in the past few years that seems to be taking over the world. Their stuff is sold at the Home Depot and in Lowe's. It's sold on Amazon and Walmart. And they just opened up their first retail store in the US this past week. That company is called Vevor, and there's a lot that you may not know about them. And I think you're going to be very surprised by what you learn in this video. We're going to dig into the truth about who they really are, how they've been able to grow so fast, how they can sell tools and equipment for so cheap, whether they're worth buying, and what all that means for their competitors and ultimately for us, the consumer.
Vevor's 450-piece mechanics tool set.
Vevor meat slicer.
Vevor lawn sweeper.
Vevor's done it again.
So Vevor is everywhere. It kind of reminds me of the Acme company from the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. Now, I'm sure that you've seen some of their products around, and some of you may have even purchased some of their products before. But have you ever stopped to think about who they are and where they come from? Well, most things nowadays, especially when talking about tools and equipment, are made in China, and that's where Vevor comes from. The company first started in 2007 by selling things on eBay. Basically, what they did was buy up all the stuff that was being made for American companies and Chinese factories that wasn't sold for some reason. It could have been poor quality or canceled orders or something else like that. Over time, they were able to expand and started selling on Amazon in 2013. And today, in addition to Lowe's, the Home Depot, and Walmart, they also sell a lot on their own website. And just this past week, Vevor opened a retail store in Houston, Texas. This is a really interesting development, and it's rare to see an e-commerce company like this go into brick and mortar locations. Now, I haven't been to the location yet, but I have some pictures from people who have, and you can actually see it's kind of boring. In fact, I have a couple of viewers who recently went there and made some comments describing their trip. They said that most of the products were in plain brown boxes and there weren't a lot of displays, not a lot of the products were out, and you had to kind of rely on the pictures on the boxes to know what the products actually were. Other people have actually said that this location is meant as a warehouse or a drop shipping location, which can't be true as they already have warehouses across the country, including in Houston. And a 30,000 square foot store really wouldn't do much in terms of inventory for something like that. I see it as more of a kind of mini warehouse store, something kind of like an IKEA without the meatballs. Not a lot of bells and whistles or expensive marketing, but rather just a basic store with basic products. It's a place for them to showcase the products that they have and maybe reach a new market. Their retail strategy really isn't the most interesting thing about them, though. The most interesting thing about Vevor is their global strategy, and to understand that, we need to understand how Chinese companies generally work. So starting in the late 70s and especially picking up in the 90s and 2000s, US and European companies started outsourcing a lot of their manufacturing to Asia, especially Taiwan and China. China was the perfect candidate because they had a large population and the labor was cheap by comparison, in many cases 50 to 80% less, which is huge. China also had a more educated and trained population compared to some of its neighbors. Then the Chinese government made some smart moves in terms of creating manufacturing ecosystems. They created industrial clusters with factories, suppliers, machine shops, mold makers, packaging plants, logistics hubs, and other businesses all within a few miles of each other. This meant that they could speed up prototyping, they could build cheaper components, they could shorten lead times, lower shipping costs, and rapidly scale up when needed. No other country in the world has anything quite like it, and it's been part of the secret to China's success for decades now, even though labor costs in China are increasing. Then things started to shift. In the beginning, most US companies were using Chinese OEMs to build their products, but many of these companies began to offer design services and transition to ODMs. An OEM is a company that is contracted to build a product to your requested specs. They take your design and they do exactly what you ask. An ODM is a company that also designs a product for you. You tell them what you want, and they not only build it, but they actually create the designs for it as well. This cuts back on R&D expenses and allows companies to get products on the market more quickly. It also leads to some downsides, including some tools that look remarkably similar. As an example, take a look at all of these sanders. They're all very similar in both design and construction. Maybe one has a metal part where another has a plastic part, or the motor on one may be a bit more powerful than another. But by and large, they're incredibly similar, and this is partly due to the fact that many of these products are coming out of the same factories. And that's where Vevor comes in. As I mentioned before, they started buying up unsold inventory from factories and selling on eBay, but over time, they actually started slapping their own name on tons of different products. Today, Vevor is what is known as a white label brand, and they're taking advantage of the manufacturing ecosystem in China to compete at a level that no one has ever seen before and offer tools at prices that seem kind of crazy. But before I get into the details on how exactly that works, I want to introduce you to this video sponsor, Camel City Mill. Camel City Mill makes socks, great socks. These things are engineered to survive real life. Long days on your feet at job sites, airports, hiking, whatever you throw at them. They're made with American merino wool, which means they're naturally moisture wicking, temperature regulating, and keep working as long as you do. And I've got to say, these are really comfortable to wear. The way these socks are engineered is what makes them so amazing. They've got vents to keep your feet cool and solve one of the biggest problems, sweaty feet. These socks are 100% made in the USA in a factory in North Carolina, which is getting rarer and rarer these days. And one of the best things is that they have a 10-year durability guarantee, which means that if you get a hole or a tear in your socks in the first 10 years, they'll replace them for you for free. So they stand by their product. Here's the bottom line. These are very high quality, very comfortable socks, and I'm sure that you're gonna love yours as much as I love mine. And when you use my code DIY with Dave, you can get 10% off your new favorite work socks. So check them out. I'll leave a link for you in the description. Again, a huge thanks to Camel City Mill for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. All right, so as I mentioned, Vevor is what is known as a white label brand, which means that they are buying up inventory from factories and they're slapping their own name on it. In most cases, they're not designing their products, and part of the way that they're able to do things so cheaply has to do with the manufacturing ecosystem in China. When outsourcing to China first started, factories were producing equipment for American brands, and those brands would place orders based upon what they expected to sell. When there were no orders, the factories sat idle, and when a factory is idle, it's losing money. The manufacturing ecosystem in China is so competitive, and the margins for those manufacturers is so thin that they really can't afford to lose money ever. And so a company like Vevor will come in and they'll say, hey, we'll buy X product from you, but for much less than you would sell it to the name brands. And they'll tell them, hey, you won't make as much money, but you'll still make some money and your factory will keep moving. So to them, that seems like a pretty good deal. They're able to take advantage of economies of scale, they're able to keep operating, and they're able to make some money. And if they're gonna make some money, they'd prefer that over no money. That's partly why Vevor's product offering is so immense. They sell so many different kinds of things that don't seem to make sense coming from one single company. And again, the reason is not that they're designing or manufacturing all these tools and items themselves, but because they're eating up excess capacity from those factories, and they're basically willing to keep those factories afloat when they would otherwise be losing money. This is the same pattern that Temu and Shein and other Chinese brands are following as well. Now, they do take some risks. They may buy up a product that's not a good seller and they may lose some money on it. But that's actually where their low prices come in. They sell their products for so low, that's really how they encourage people to buy them. They don't have a lot of brand recognition, at least they didn't. And so they can't rely on things that other companies like a DeWalt or Milwaukee will rely on. They have to rely on those low prices. And the way that they make their money is through volume. Their margins are tiny, but if they sell a ton, then they can make all of their money back, and they do. So again, their business depends upon how quickly they can get a product in, and then how quickly they can get it out the door to a customer. So that begs the question, what about quality? Are Vevor products even worth it? Now, here's the truth of the matter. Due to their business model, there's going to be a lot of variability in the quality of their products. In fact, on the last video that I made about Vevor, the comments were very mixed. Some people loved them and said that their products were fantastic, and others said that they were junk and they'd had nothing but problems. So at the end of the day, it seems like it may be a bit of a crapshoot. A couple of other things to consider is that Vevor's customer service seems to have a lot to be desired, and sometimes returns can be difficult. That is if you buy them directly from Vevor's website. If you buy them from Walmart or Home Depot, their return policies will apply. But again, the business depends upon volume, and returns muck up the process. And so if you can limit or eliminate returns as much as possible, you'll make more money. And so sometimes they may kind of delay things or make things more difficult when it comes to returns. Then there is the problem of defective products. Now, it's not unusual for a company to have recalls or have issues, but in doing research for this video, I actually found a bunch of lawsuits, more than you might expect, with some people even being killed by Vevor products. So the old "you get what you pay for" saying really does apply here.
But they're so cheap.
Look, you get what you pay for. If you haven't learned that, you don't know a thing.
And when it comes between getting something for cheap or getting something that will kill you, it may be best to spend the extra 20 bucks. Another thing to be aware of is that Chinese companies are also notorious for manipulating customer ratings, and Vevor is not any different. And so sometimes it's hard to trust whether a product will perform or not based upon the ratings that you see on any particular website. Now, all that said, I suspect that much like Harbor Freight, Vevor's products have increased in quality over time. But at the end of the day, if they're not designing their own products and they're relying on the factories to perform quality control, then their quality is always going to be a hit and miss. Some factories may be better than others. But I want to hear from you. Maybe you have been buying Vevor products for years and you've seen the change in quality firsthand. Or maybe you've had a bad experience with a Vevor tool. Leave me a comment and tell me about your experience. I'd love to hear. Now, just as a side note, one really interesting tidbit that I found when I was doing research for this is that Costco does not sell any Vevor products. Costco is famous for finding reasonably priced and high quality products. And I think that is really telling that they don't think highly enough of Vevor to sell anything that they make. That's just food for thought more than anything else. All right, now before I close out the video, we have one more problem that we need to solve. And that is the question of who is behind Vevor. Who owns the company and who is profiting off of its success? Now here's where things get really interesting. So there are really two main categories of companies. There are public companies who sell their stock on public exchanges, companies like Amazon, Costco, and Walmart. And then there are private companies. Private companies could be owned by a family or an individual, a partnership, or a venture capital firm. And why this matters is that public companies are required to publish public financial reports and information. Private companies are not. That said, private companies are still required to disclose information about their leadership and revenue for tax and licensing purposes, but much of that information remains hidden. Additionally, the laws in China require very little disclosure, so it's hard to find out who's really behind the company. Well, Vevor is a private company and they're based in China, and as far as I can tell, they're owned by some Chinese venture capital firms. But again, it's hard to trace out that ownership as some of the data that I was able to find seems to be outdated. And their leadership is hard to define as well. There is someone out there named Vevor Zhao, who is on LinkedIn and lists himself as the manager of the holding company that owns most of Vevor, according to some records. Some of the lawsuits actually list someone named Ruben Zhao, and so I wonder if that is the same person. Then there's someone else who lists themselves on LinkedIn as the CEO of Vevor International since 2016. But honestly, his profile there doesn't scream CEO of a huge company to me, at least. It's funny though, because we're used to CEOs being in the news constantly. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos.
You want a little of this?
And people like that. It seems like they get off on being popular and powerful, but it's totally different in China. There's an old Chinese saying that the tallest grass gets cut first. And if you know anything about what happened to Jack Ma, the guy who started Alibaba and AliExpress, you know that you don't want to draw too much attention to yourself in China. So that may be part of it as well. That may be why we don't really know that much about these people. Now here's the thing, this is a serious company and they're making serious money, but we really don't know who owns it. But if you know anything about how the Chinese government works, I actually suspect that the Chinese government themselves, or the CCP, actually owns a fair bit of the company as well, which may also be why Vevor tools are pushed so hard on TikTok. Now, I don't inherently have anything against China or the Chinese government, but they are one of our biggest rivals, and they don't always play fair. There have been numerous instances of Chinese companies spying on behalf of the Chinese government. For example, there was an instance of cranes used in US shipyards that were made in China, and they were suspected of wirelessly relaying information back to China, basically spying on us through the products that we buy. It's the same reason that Huawei phones are banned for use by government employees and why TikTok is banned on all military-issued phones and devices. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security has warned that Chinese-made cameras should not be used by US companies due to the risks of espionage. Now, I'm not saying that the Chinese are spying on you through your thickness planer, but I think that when you buy something from a company like Vevor, you have to consider who's benefiting from it. Again, just some food for thought. Now, I personally don't own any Vevor tools, and I may end up buying some just to test them out, but honestly, I'm not that interested in them, even if they are the cheapest. But I want to know what you think. Are you a fan of Vevor? Have you bought any of their products before? How did it work out? How did you like them? Do you think that I should give in and give their products a chance? Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.